I received a great question from one of my subscribers. And the subscriber's name is SN22379. And his question is as follows. Where do you go next after you've done the basic inspections, personal lines, and commercial inspections? So today we're going to talk about that just a little bit. So a lot of you already know this, and those of you who do, just stick around because you may not know why it's important to know this information that I'm about to give to you. So just hang around here with your girl while I give you some of this information, okay? So what we're going to talk about today is luxury and high value home inspections. And I know, SN, you are already aware of this, but there are a lot of people who are not aware of this. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit today. And you know what to do. Stick around most definitely for the next video. And why are the luxury and high value home inspections the next step from basic home inspections? And a lot of people I know for sure shy away from doing high value homes. And the reason why they do so is because the house is huge. And the bigger the home is, the more paperwork you have to do. The more questions need to be asked. The more answers you need to receive. And a lot of these companies are not going to allow you to turn in the paperwork without these questions being answered. The properties are huge. There are a lot of things that you have to capture as far as pictures are concerned that you may not have to capture ever at all at a basic home when you go to do not only just outside inspections, but inside as well. Because the details that you get from a high value home are very, very important to the insurance carrier. Most of these properties are worth millions and up. So you have to bear that in mind. And that helps you to kind of understand a little bit as to why this is very important. And as far as why it's the next step up is because they pay more. Because they're expecting you to do more and deliver information that they need you to deliver to them. So they're expecting this from you. And because they're expecting these things, of course, they're going to pay you more for that particular inspection. You won't just be taking photos. You'll be documenting information about specialities inside of these homes, specific features inside of these homes, what type of appliances they may have inside of these homes as far as the kitchen is concerned. Thermidor, Wolf, what do they have? You will be having to supply all of that information to the insurance carrier, and you already know on a basic inspection, you don't have to worry about what type of appliance a person has in their kitchen. You never even think about the kitchen other than if the inspection itself requires you to take a photo of every room. Outside of that, who cares what type of oven they have? But in a high value home, they have more to lose. These are millions of dollars worth of property. And the insurance carrier is going to want more detailed paperwork, of course. And why? Because the risk is higher. Imagine the amount of money they have to cover if something was to happen to this person's property on a high value or a luxury home. The insurance carrier don't want to have to cover anything that they don't need to. So that's why it's of the utmost importance that you capture everything. All the way from the borders. There are some paperwork I've seen, they've asked about the borders of the home. What type of doors do they have? How many French doors do they have? Do they have maple doors? Do they have birchwood doors? All of this different stuff on that paperwork that you will never see anywhere else. And sometimes, if you are like me and you print your papers out, those papers get thick. I have to staple from the front and turn around and staple from the back. It's like a little book of questions. And it is definitely way more detailed than the rest. And there is not a home out here that you are going to inspect. Not inside or not just roll up outside. Not one home that you're going to inspect that is going to pay you as much as a high value home pays you. Okay, and let me just go ahead and say this really quick because I know it's going to be somebody say something. If you're working for a company that is sending you to some high value homes and those high value homes are not paying you at least 100 and above for you to make that stop, maybe you should reevaluate the company that you're actually working for. unless you're comfortable with the pay. Because you have to think about it. Once you start actually working on high value homes, when I first started, using me as an example, when I first started doing high value homes, I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't know how long it was going to take. The company was expecting for it to take at least 3 hours. Now, the first one or two I did, it did not take that long. I probably did an hour on one, maybe an hour and a half on the other. And I was like, where they get 3 hours at? But I hadn't been to those houses that's up behind those fences that nobody sees until I started doing the high value homes. And I've been into some houses and I've met some people. And I can tell you that some of these homes are so huge until, yes, it took me almost 3 hours to complete it. Now, at that point, I did want to kind of like reevaluate what's going on with that pay. But that was because I was fresh and new to the game. Once I got used to doing the job, because everything is a strategy, right? Everything you do. Once you get used to it, there's no way you can't get in there and get it done and get out of there in a specific amount of time. There's no way. You can go in, you can get it done, and be on your way to the next. They are, and I'm going to say that because that's how I feel, they are or they can be a headache at times because a lot of the questions are so thick, the insurers are not going to know the answers to most of them. We're talking about people who have a lot of money. And a lot of money to spend, a lot of money to possibly throw away. Not saying all of them, but the majority of them do. They have a lot of money to spend, a lot of money to throw away. And they run across a home that they just really love. They walked in and they saw the kitchen and they were blown away. They saw the spiral staircase and they were blown away. They saw the chandeliers hanging from the roofs and they were blown away. And they purchased the home. And then here I come with my papers and my camera and all of my gear ready to do an inspection. And they have no idea about anything in the house. So if they don't know what type of doors they have in the house, but there's tons of doors, and you can see that it's not the average door from inside of a home. You can tell that it's some sort of pure wood in their home. You can tell by the texture that it's not pine. Or what is it? Is it birch? See, you need to know these things when it comes to going to these houses. And some of these insurance carriers will let you slide if you don't know the exact answer. But then some of them will catch you off guard. And I know that too from my own personal experience. Because they'll base what you say based off the insurance inspection that was done the year prior. Well, the year prior, they had such and such. And on your report, you say they got such and such. You know what all that did? That taught me to start doing research, learning the difference between my woods, learning the difference between the roofs and what's going on up there. What type of coatings and coverings do they have? I had to learn those things so that when I see them, even if the insured don't know, if I look at it, I know what I'm looking at. But that's why they pay you more. The risk is way higher than your average inspection. And if you are one who are doing just simply write-ups and taking pictures, and maybe you've started doing a few inspections inside of a home, $25, $30, $40 here, maybe $60 if you get lucky. If you have not started doing high-value luxury home inspections, I suggest you make that your next level up. It's not hard at all. Just take a little bit more time. The worst high-value home inspection I did, I think had nothing to do with the inspection itself. You want to know what happened? I'm going to tell you because that's what I do. But it ain't going to be a story. It's just something real quick. So I had to go to Beverly Hills and do this inspection. I rode off in there, and this was one of those streets where nobody parks on the street at all. There's no cars on the street anywhere. Everybody parks in their yard or in the garage. And I knew that when I pulled up because as soon as I turned off in there and started to drive down those streets, I didn't see no cars. So I knew that's what I was up against. I checked the signs, I synced the signs. But it also said that you could park for 2 hours or something like that, but you had to be exempt and had a little thing in the window in order to stay. So I get to the location. go to the door. Person opened the door, and I let them know, is it okay? Well, it wasn't a door, it was a gate that was like really close to the sidewalk. So she comes and she opens the gate, and I was like, is it gonna be okay for me to park out here because there's no other cars on the street but me. Now bear in mind, I had already seen somebody across the way, like on the second floor. Maybe she was on an elliptical, maybe she was on a treadmill. I don't know what she was doing. But she kind of did a pause and just watched me until I was able to get out of the car. She stared so much until I just stared back. Until she turned her head. But anyway, nobody was on the street. I knew I wasn't going to be long, especially when I went behind the gate and realized the house was not as big as I thought it was going to be. It just cost this much because, of course, it's in Beverly Hills. I was in there maybe 35 minutes. And when I came out, I had a ticket on my car. I didn't see any people riding around in the cars. I didn't see any of those ticket people. But I know what happened. I'm pretty sure. But you know what? It is what it is. That was the worst day. Because not only did I run up in there, didn't want to go to Beverly Hills, took me a minute just to go 5 miles to Beverly Hills. Just to go over there and do this inspection, and came out and the ticket took my inspection money. So yeah, y'all be careful with that, with the parking now. Just be careful. All right. So enough of the story. Let's just move on. And of course, once again, it's for a certification. You don't actually have to have certification, but there are some companies out here, if you're going to go to a high value home for them, they will require you to have some sort of certification. Of course, we know that. All right, y'all know I got mine from Vita, VIITA. I'll put it on the screen so that you can see. You can get your certification from there. They have basic and they have commercialized inspection certification, and they may have more, I don't remember, but I know they have those two for sure. And then of course, you can go through InterNACHI, INTERNACHI, this is how I pronounce it, InterNACHI. They are specialized in high value homes as well. And as far as an inspectors association that you can sign up for, become a member of, and have all your questions answered and people there for you around the clock, is ASHI, ASHI. Okay, and that's mostly for those of you who are looking to venture out past that even more into the real estate side of things. Then of course, ASHI is your way to go. ASHI. Make sure you write it down. So if you are wondering still, after the basic, after the home inspections, after the high value luxury home inspections, what would actually be your next step? What can you possibly do as an inspector after that? Well, in the next video, I'll be telling you exactly what that is. So what you want to do is subscribe and turn on your notification bell, because you don't want to miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.